Hey Mermakers, Lauren here, and today I'm going to show you how I added some resin waves to these bamboo phone tablet holders that I found on Amazon, and we're just going to dive right into it, okay? To start with, I've got some Mermaid Trash Epoxy resin mixed up, and I'm just going to divide it into a couple of different cups. And here you see me putting in my In the Navy pigment drops, as well as my Sapphire Bay Mica pigment. And then for the lighter blue, we're going to use Love Ocean No.9 and my Reflections Mica pigment. Then last but not least, I'm going to do my foam white, which is the little jar I'm going to pick up in a second here. And I'm just going to make sure it's stirred up and grab a big old dollop of that. We want our white super opaque for making waves. And now I'm just going to start getting them all mixed up. So again, you want your whites quite opaque, just like this, where you can't see through the white to the popsicle stick, and that's generally a good way or indicator for you to check your opacity or transparency of your pigments while you're mixing. And you'll just want to make sure that your white is, super thick, super opaque. So I already went ahead and got my projects prepped off screen. They're taped off on the sides with painter's tape, and I just used a little bit of acrylic paint to paint the backgrounds of them and give them a little bit more opacity. Working with my darkest color first, I'm going to pour from back to front, leaving some spaces open for the lighter blue to sit in it. And I'm also not going to pour my light blue as far down as where the paint ends, and leaving that open for where I'm going to pour a little bit of clear that I left over after dividing it into my cups. And the reason why you want to pour slightly above where you want your actual wave to end up is because as you begin to heat your resin, it's going to expand a little bit. So I use the bottom of my acrylic paint here as a guideline for where I poured this bit of clear so that my resin waves don't end up too low on the board. Once you get the clear on there, you're going to grab your white, and I like to pinch the cup like so. And I'm just going to pour it directly on top of the clear. And for this first layer, I'm going to do it in one big bold stripe. Then using my heat gun with a tapered nozzle on a high setting, I'm just going to begin blowing the waves straight back at an angle, and making sure that these first waves break the surface tension of the back of the board, and that the resin actually flows over the back so that it doesn't pull back again into the center of the board. It always looks like quite a bit of white going on there at first as you blow it out, but again, as you heat the resin, the pigments are going to react to the heat, and if you don't have enough white on the surface to blow out over the board, you're just not going to get the cells and lacing and reaction that you want. So after a quick torch, I'm just going to go ahead and cover these, and then we'll move on to the second layer. So I wait until the first layer is completely cured before I'm moving on to the next. And the reason why is because if I make a boo-boo or I drip on that previous layer, I can wipe it away with a little bit of alcohol without ruining the finish of the previous layer. I also really liked how this previous layer looked, and since we're only doing two, I decided to make this layer completely clear other than the foam white. And instead of one big bold stripe, I'm doing 2 to 3 thinner stripes that I allow to overlap and kind of touch each other. And this gives it, to me, the appearance of multiple waves and just a little bit more depth within just that one layer. My process for blowing out this layer remains the same, and after giving it a quick torch to get rid of any remaining bubbles and help encourage cells, I'll sometimes tilt them around a little bit to stretch out the waves and kind of manipulate them into the place that I want them to be. And then they're done. So now that they're fully cured, I use my trusty heat gun to help me remove the tape and drips. And for all intents and purposes, they came out like perfect with no, bleeding or anything on the sides from the paint or resin, which is always an added bonus when you don't have to go in and, clean them up or do any extra work. And here they are in all their glory, sitting in the little retail space at my studio. And I'm going to go ahead and link as many of the products in the description as I can, including the tablet stand in my Amazon store, and the pigments you can find on mermaidtrash.com. So please feel free to come and visit me on my website to get your pigments and use code SAVETHESEA to get a discount. And like always, every purchase with Mermaid Trash benefits the cleaning of our oceans and coastlines. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this project, and any questions that you guys have, ask me in the comments below, and I always try to answer when I can. And happy pouring!